Today's lesson is on ellipses, and today we're going to work with writing the equations. So my learning objective is I can write equations of ellipses in standard form from graphs or given information. Okay, for the general equation of a conic, the way I recognize that I have an ellipse is the coefficients A and C are not equal. When they're equal, we have a circle. So when they're not equal, I have an ellipse. Okay, reviewing from the previous lesson, for a horizontal ellipse, a squared is under the x coordinate, and a vertical ellipse, a squared is under the y coordinate. The major axis is a length of 2a, and the minor axis is a length of 2b. Okay, so let's put that in here. So a reminder, we're going to be using that. So the major axis distance is 2a, and the minor axis length is 2b. And to find the foci, I am using the formula c squared equals a squared minus b squared, where a is the hypotenuse, which is the longest side. So c is the square root of a squared minus b squared. The larger denominator is what determines the major axis. All right. Okay, so for the ellipse, when we are listing the attributes, we're using exact answers, but I need to round it if I'm plotting it. Okay, so I have this graph here, and I am expected to write the equation from this graph. So I'm starting out with, I know I have a vertical ellipse because the longer axis is on the vertical. So this is my major axis here. So my equation I know is going to be x minus h quantity squared by a squared plus y minus k quantity squared divided by b squared equals 1. So I need to know what h, k, a, and b are. Okay, and my vertices here on my major axis are at 0, 7 and at 0, negative 7. I have my halfway in the middle is my center. So my center is at the origin, 0, 0. My co-vertices are on the minor axis, and they are here. So my co-vertices are at 3, 0 and negative 3, 0. And my foci, I need to calculate. So the foci are at c squared equals a squared minus b squared. So a is the distance from the center to a vertex, so that's a, so that is 7. And b is the distance to a co-vertex, which is 3. So b squared is 9, and a squared is 49. So c squared is a squared minus b squared. So c squared equals 49 minus 9. So c squared is 40, the square root. So I get c is, so this is going to be 4 times 10, so 2 square roots of 10. For graphing purposes, that's about 6.3. So my foci are right here. So these are at 0 plus or minus 2 times the square root of 10. Okay, I think I have everything now, so I can substitute into my equation. So h and k are 0 and 0. So I don't usually write plus or minus 0. So substituting into my equation, I have x squared divided by 49. I'm sorry, a is under y because we have a vertical ellipse. So b squared is 9 plus y squared, because k is 0, divided by 49 equals 1. So here's my equation. All right, let's try the next one. So this is from graphing an ellipse from a graph. Now I'm going to write the equation of ellipse given some standard information. All right, find the standard form of the equation of an ellipse having foci at 0, 1, and 4, 1. Okay, so the foci at 0, 1, and 4, 1. Oops. 0, 1, and at 4, 1. So the foci are on the major axis. So since I have the foci horizontal, I know I have a horizontal ellipse. So this is my major axis, and then my center is going to be at the midpoint between the two foci. So my center is right here. So my center is at 2, 1. All right. So here is my minor axis. And then it says my major axis is a length of 6. And we said the major axis length equals 2 times a. So if I divide both sides by 2, I get a equals 3. So that means a squared equals 9. Okay, so a is 3, so I'm going to go 3 to the right and to the left of the center. So 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. So my vertices are at 5, 1, and negative 1, 1. Okay, so next, I need to know, oops. So I have a squared, and I know what c is because I know the foci. So I know c is 2 because the foci are 2 away from the center. So that makes c squared equal to 4. So then I know the equation c squared equals a squared minus b squared. So I know a squared and c squared. So I'm going to substitute in c squared is 4. And we said a squared is 9. So we need to solve for b squared. So b squared is 5. So b is the square root of 5, which is approximately 2.3. So for graphing purposes, I'm going to go up 2.31, 2.3, and down 2.31, 2.3. So my co-vertices are at 2 plus or minus, 2, and then I went up 1, up 1, and then plus or minus the square root of 5. The foci were given. So these were given. These were at 0, 1, and 4, 1. Okay, so here is my ellipse. So my equation, since I'm horizontal, I know my equation is x minus h quantity squared plus y minus k quantity squared. Since I'm horizontal, a squared is under the x coordinate, b squared is under the y coordinate. So substituting in, h is 2 and k is 1. So this is x minus 2 quantity squared. A squared is 9 plus y minus 1 quantity squared, and b squared is 5 equals 1. So here's my equation. Okay, one more. This time we're going to add a completing the square. Find the standard form of the equation along with the center, vertices, co-vertices, and foci of the ellipse. So I need to complete the square first. So I'm going to separate the x. Oops. I'm going to separate the x terms from the y terms. So this is 4x squared minus 8x plus something plus y squared plus 4y plus something. And I'm going to move negative 8 to the other side. So that means I'm adding 8 to both sides. So that's 8 plus 2 somethings. All right, for the x terms, I need to factor out 4 first. So this is going to be 4 times x squared minus 2x plus something plus y squared plus 4y plus something equals 8 plus something plus something. All right, so now I'm going to add in half of the b term and square it. So this is going to be x minus 1 quantity squared. So 1 squared is 1. But I have to take into account that I'm distributing 4 times 1. So I'm really adding 4 on the left. So I'm adding 4 on the right. And for my y term, half of 4 is 2. So this is going to be y plus 2 quantity squared. So 2 squared is 4. So I'm adding 4 more. And this equals 8 plus 8 is 16. Oops, I forgot to bring my 4 down here. Okay, now I need to divide everything by 16 so that I have my equation equal to 1. And then I'm going to simplify. So 16 divided by 4 is 4. So this is x minus 1 quantity squared divided by 4 plus y plus 2 quantity squared divided by 16 equals 1. Okay, and this is my equation. So one of the things I'm looking for is the equation. So here's my equation. So a squared is 16. So I have a vertical ellipse, and b squared is 4. So a is 4 and b is 2. So solving for c squared is a squared 16 minus b squared 4. So c squared is 12. So 12 is 4 times 3. So c equals 2 times the square root of 3, which is about 3.5. Okay, so let's graph it and state our information. Okay, so we said we had a vertical ellipse because the a squared term is under the y coordinate. The center is at 1, -2. So at 1, -2. And my major axis is vertical. My minor axis is horizontal. We said A is 4. So I'm going to go up 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, and down 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. So my vertices are at 1, 2, and 1, -6. And my co-vertices, we said B is 2. So I'm going to go 2 to the right and 2 to the left. So my co-vertices are at -1, -2, and -1, 3. I'm sorry, at 3, -2. At 3, -2. So here is the outside of my ellipse. And my foci are on the major axis. So the foci are going to be 3.5 up and down. So 3.5 and 3.5. So the foci are going to be at 1, and we said c is 2 plus the square root of 3. So 1, and I start at -2, and it's plus or minus 2 times the square root of 3. Okay, we got everything.